36 days left, folks, until Election Day. Can you believe it? 36 days? You know, the United States of America, we start our presidential campaigns 2 years ago. So this thing started in 2018, if you can believe that. We've had to suffer through almost 2 years of this crap. In other countries, they don't do that. Go to England, for instance. They just have like a few short months of this. Go to Canada. Very, very small election cycle. We do not have 2 years of money, millions, billions of dollars spent. And it all comes down to this 36 days. So, what do I always say here on the show? Don't listen to what they say, pay attention to what they do. So, with 36 days left, what are the polls showing? And more importantly than the polls, where are the candidates spending their time, attention, money, and effort? That, to me, is how you can tell what they're most concerned about. Again, don't listen to what they say, because if you hear President Trump out on the campaign trail, it's, we're going to win in a landslide, everything's great, unless they want to steal the election, blah, blah, blah. Joe Biden out there saying everything's great, we're going to win, got to kick Trump out. But really, it comes down to where are they spending these precious few days left, flying to, campaigning. And troubling signs this morning for the Trump campaign, because again, pay attention to what they do, not what they say. And what we're doing is looking at what they're doing. With 5 weeks left, Trump is playing defense right now in a lot of states that he won in 2016. That's right. He's spending time and money in states that he shouldn't have to be. These are firewall states for him now. You know, like you're playing. I'm trying to think of what's a good game description where you're playing chess, right? And so you're trying to move you're trying to hide your king and queen on the board because now you don't have any pawns anymore. Your rook is gone. Your horse is gone. What is that called? I don't even know the name of it. Your bishop is gone, and you're kind of like you're battening down the hatches right now. And that's what's happening. Now, it's not as dramatic as that, but there are definitely states where President Trump is spending time that he shouldn't have to be spending. And it appears they've thrown in the towel in other states. So if we look at the new poll this morning, here is a new round of polls. Actually, let me give you the big one. This is the big one that just came out. This is the new ABC Washington Post poll, and it has Biden there in blue with a 53 to 43% lead in the new ABC poll. Trump, interestingly though, Trump has a lead. He's had it for a long time, and it's now even more solidified. According to the data this morning, Trump is up with white working class voters, white blue collar working class voters who do not have a college degree. Those folks are clearly in the President Trump camp. So that number out this morning shows those have totally solidified for him. He's got 55% of men to 42% among male likely voters. So Trump is clearly in the lead among white working class, non-college educated white men. But it's a huge disadvantage for him among women. So there were areas that have seen clear defections from President Trump. And according to the new data this morning, President Trump now sits at a 65 to 34% disadvantage. So Biden is up 65 to 34% among likely female voters. So he has lost a ton of women. He's lost a huge lead among women. Right now, though, the folks at the core of Biden's support are the college graduates, women, and the men right now who did not go to college, without college degrees, and especially if they're over the age of 40. Story out this morning basically said that you couldn't pry me away from Trump, is what these voters are saying. Basically, there's nothing you could do to take me away. That's basically what they're saying. If you're over 40 years old, you don't have a college degree, and you're a blue-collar worker. So that's where we are on some of these polls. Here's a new round of polls out. This is the broad base of polls this morning. Right now, New York Times Siena poll, Biden is up 8 points. Biden is up 10 in that new ABC Wash Post poll I just played for you, showed you. When you include Jorgensen and Hawkins in there, he's up 6. In Nevada, Rasmussen reports has Biden up one. And remember, Rasmussen, of course, is probably the polling that got it closest correct in 2016. And President Trump often lauds Rasmussen, saying that they are that Scott Rasmussen and his Rasmussen reports is great. Biden is also up in a new North Carolina poll, 2 points. Georgia, Trump is up one. South Carolina, Trump is up by 10. Michigan, Biden is up by 8. Wisconsin, Biden up by 10. Pennsylvania, Biden up by 5. So, what does all this mean? Interestingly, it means that President Trump, again, is spending time in states that he shouldn't have to. So let's go through some of them. Biden is scheduled to campaign in Ohio. And President Trump held 2 rallies in Ohio last week. He won Ohio handily last time against Hillary Clinton. He's having to spend time in Ohio. That should be a state that's a shoo-in for him. It's not. And Biden is there again right now. And Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, President Trump won handily over Hillary Clinton. Now, Biden, that's his home state. Pennsylvania, Biden's home state. However, Biden is leading there, but he's not leading as much as I think he should be, being your home state, right? That should be a shoo-in. He's from Scranton. He could talk and connect with those working class voters there. But again, Scranton is an area that went heavily for Trump. White, working class, non-college educated men went strongly for President Trump. And I was there covering the election in 2016. I went to Western Pennsylvania, went out towards Pittsburgh, up in Butler, up in those areas. That was a strong Trump territory. So the fact that Trump is having to defend himself now in Pennsylvania and Ohio, wasting time on that when he could be in Florida and spending time in North Carolina and Arizona. Biden is up in Iowa. Trump thought he could flip Minnesota. That doesn't look like to be the case either. Biden now has also, like, his appeal in Minnesota has cut him off. They're pulling back ad spending in these states. So again, watch what they do, not what they say. Ad spending right now in these states is dropping from President Trump. They're pulling back in those states where they think that it's a loss, like Michigan. Remember, they thought Michigan would be in play. He won Michigan against Hillary Clinton. Gone. Wisconsin, 10-point lead right now for Biden. They've pulled back their ad spend. So again, it's one thing to say, well, this is just the mainstream media, right? These are mainstream media polls, right? Because you're seeing CBS. Let me pull these back up here. So it's very easy for you to be cynical in the chat room right now. I'm not saying you are. I haven't looked over there in a second. But look, CBS poll, Rasmussen poll, New York Times poll, ABC. You could say, hey, those are all mainstream media. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. Okay, that's fine. But the internal polling from the Biden campaign and the Trump campaign are showing things that are keeping them from wasting money in Michigan, in Wisconsin, and Minnesota, and these other areas. So when you're not spending money, you know something. Like, you're paying attention to these things, saying, hey, I'm not going to spend money in these particular areas because we know something. The polling that they have over at the New York Times and the polling that we have internally. I spend a lot of time picking Karl Rove's brain about campaigning and internal polling. They all have their thick book of like county by county numbers. And he said, we look at all the different polls, but we had our own internal polling. So they're looking at their own internal polling right now, telling them that we should not be wasting money in Wisconsin. We should not be wasting money in Minnesota. We should not be wasting money in Michigan. We have to go to Ohio again? I thought we had Ohio locked up. So very fascinating. 36 days until the end here. And these are the latest numbers from the Trump campaign and Biden campaign. Joe Biden leading right now in this new Washington Post ABC News poll, 53 to 43%. And remember, a lot of people have already voted, and people have been asked whether or not these numbers haven't changed much. They've been consistent. The only thing that has really changed is that a lot of women have totally fled the Trump camp. And now Biden has a 65% to 34% advantage among likely female voters right now. So that is a big piece of this. And there are signs that Trump's support among Hispanics is also declining. And that could be big for Biden in Florida. I got to say, all eyes to me on Florida. Because here's what happens. All of this talk about a delegitimized election, are we going to have a Supreme Court battle? If, that's close, we have ballots being tossed and all of this stuff. Here's the thing. If Biden wins Florida overwhelmingly, that's game over. Because there is no way that Trump can win this election unless he wins Florida. So and that's why Bloomberg is pouring so much money into Florida. The Biden camp is just pouring so much money into Florida. How many Florida voters are watching right now? I'm curious. Are you guys just seeing ads nonstop, yard signs everywhere? Because if Trump loses Florida, it's game over. And because the polls close early in Florida, it's East Coast time on election night, we might not have to deal with the week-long, drawn-out craziness. If he loses Florida and Biden wins Florida, that's it. That's game, set, and match right there. There's virtually no way. Remember, no Republican president has won the White House without winning Florida in over, I think, 140 years. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's impossible, frankly. Not impossible, but it's impossible. So that's really one of the things that I'll be watching on election night is Florida, because if Florida goes to Trump, then boy, we in for a long time. I mean, we could be waiting until December or longer, or God knows what kind of chaos we could be thrown into if we don't have a clear winner on election night. What a disaster that will be. So those are the very latest poll numbers. That's where we sit right now with only 36 days left. How many of you have voted already? How many of you are sent in your absentee, your mail-in ballot? I've already got my vote in, already done. This is even before the debate. So millions of people have already voted, and these numbers seem solid right now. And it'll be interesting to see if a debate moves the needle any kind of way tomorrow. Tomorrow night is the first presidential debate. And again, we will have a full wrap-up here on the show. So please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll have full coverage, of course, of the Wednesday post-debate on the show here. So thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.